Hello and welcome back to Creepaholics. I'm your host Shanice, and I have a bunch of new stories for you. So shut your windows, lock your doors, it's time to get creepy. Coming up on tonight's episode, an ABC murder mystery, a four-time loser. A man with a guilty pleasure may have to pay a heavy price to hide his past. Now, we've all heard of the church bells chiming, but what happens when the ringing is haunted? Chilling tales from Edgar Allan Poe and more esteemed writers. So join me in listening to our first episodes, The Black Mass, Oil of Dog, Proof of Positive, and the Death of Haplin Fraser. Sit down, grab your popcorn, and tune in, for these episodes are a little wild ride.
Mystery time. Time now for the best in mystery. Tonight on Masters of Mystery, an exciting melodrama titled Four-Time Loser. Presented live from New York, is written by Sidney Sloane. A man with a guilty secret sometimes pays a heavy price to keep his past from being exposed. And when he's playing for high stakes, he's sometimes willing to kill. Masters of Mystery brings you tonight's thrilling story, Four-Time Loser.
It's a strange and terrible experience to be sitting in your office on a bright autumn afternoon, free from worry, proud of your honest accomplishments. And then to have your secretary come in and inform you that your little dream of security is just that, a dream.
There's a man waiting to see you, sir. He says he's an old friend, but he won't give his name.
Anybody we know, Gladys?
I've never seen him before.
Well, probably someone who wants to sell me insurance. Tell him to leave his name. We'll get in touch with him.
I've already told him that, Mr. Coombs, but he's very persistent.
Oh, well. Send him in.
Yes, Mr. Coombs. Mr. Coombs will see you now.
Thanks.
Won't you sit down?
Don't mind if I do, George.
Well, now, what can I do for you?
What's the matter, George? Don't you know your old friends?
I'm afraid you have me at a disadvantage.
I sure have, Mr. Coombs. Or maybe I should have said Mr. Deal.
Eh?
Bennett Deal.
I'm afraid I don't know you. You probably made some mistake. Now, if you don't mind, I'm very
There's
busy.
no mistake. But if this will jack up your memory, what happened 12 years ago, April 5th? Remember cell block D, tier 18, cell 6? Can you forget 6 cons on the land, 5 caught, 1 getting away? Don't tell me you don't recognize your old cellmate, Benny.
Matt Howard.
That's right, Benny.
My name is George. George Coombs.
Sure, Coombs. You're a wise baby, Coombs. I gotta hand it to you. You see, I've been keeping tabs on your career for over a year now. I seen your picture in the paper attending a benefit with some society dame. I recognized you off.
You recognize me?
Don't worry. I don't think nobody else would. You've changed a lot. Hair's gray at the sides, glasses. You're heavier now. Taking on some weight.
I've been lucky for 12 years till you came along.
And you're still lucky, baby. You don't think I'd sing on an old pal, do you? What, and spoil your chance to marry that Anderson dame with all that dough? What kind of a hero do you think I am?
What kind are you? I know this is a shakedown. Now, how much?
Oh, really, Benny, you hurt my feelings. But if you want to play it like that, let's make it 5 yards to start with.
$500?
You wouldn't want an old friend to look shabby, would you?
All right. Meet me at my apartment tonight. I'll have the money for you. Hello?
Hello, George.
Oh, Elaine.
You sound awfully surprised.
Yes, I was expecting someone else, darling.
Well, have you forgotten you were taking me to dinner tonight?
No, of course I haven't. Elaine, I haven't forgotten. I'll pick you up in 15 minutes.
Well, don't bother, because I'll call for you. Matter of fact, I'm downstairs in the lobby right now.
Well, wait for me down there. Do you mind? I'll be right down.
George, is anything the matter?
No, dear, no. Some business I have to take care of.
Not another woman, I hope.
No, dear, not another woman.
Well, then you won't mind my coming up and seeing for myself, will you?
Helene, please, if you don't mind.
I will be right up.
Hello? Hello? Wait a minute. She couldn't have come up that quickly. That must be Matt.
Hi, Benny. Right on time.
Come in, hurry.
Ah, thanks.
We've got to make this fast, Matt.
That's the way I like it. Got the money?
Yes, I've got it.
Good. Hand it over.
Wait. I want to make a proposition to you.
I'm always open to a proposition if it favors me.
It does.
What's the caper?
I've got the 500 for you. And more.
Keep talking.
I'll give you 5,000. But you've got to get out of Saterford and never come back here. You've got to forget you ever saw me.
Oh, yeah?
5,000, Matt.
You know, George, you ain't leveling with me.
I swear.
All that... Sure, you ain't got more than 5 G's, I know that, but you got hidden assets, like they say.
Hidden assets?
You played it very smart, George. Engaged to marry the Anderson Manufacturing Company. Helene Anderson will be worth $5 to $7 million when her old man cashes in his chip.
What are you getting at?
Look, baby, I did 15 years in stir. You know what that is. I did 12 more years than you did. And the way I see it, you ought to want to see an old pal get ahead in the world. You've been lucky. How about sharing a little of it?
I'm willing to give you...
Yeah. You said 5 G's. Thanks. I'll take it as a down payment.
That's your final word?
No, Benny. You have the final word. You decide. Pay off or go back. You name it. Somebody at the door.
Matt, give me a break, will you?
Ain't you going to open the door?
Yeah.
Well, where is he? Where's the other woman?
Helene. This is Matt Howard. Matt, Helene Anderson, my fiancée.
How do you do?
Hello.
So you're the reason George forgot his dinner engagement with me.
Yeah. You see, George and me was talking over old times.
Schoolmates?
In a way.
I didn't know.
Well, Matt, I guess we'll have to break it up now. Come in and see me at my office tomorrow, and
but
we'll...
George, aren't you going to ask Mr. Howard to have dinner with us?
What?
That's a fine way to treat an old friend.
Well, you see...
I guess George wants to be alone with you, Miss Anderson.
Nonsense. George gets bored with my conversation. Do come along with us.
Well, it's up to George.
Yes. Oh, why don't you, Matt? Yes, the more, the merrier.
Your friend made a very interesting dinner companion, George.
So, Matt? Oh, yes, he's interesting, all right.
What did he come to Saterford for?
Business. He's some sort of a promoter or something.
And what does he have on you?
What? I don't understand you, Helene. He's an old friend from school.
I'm not that stupid. Mr. Howard's schooling has been few and far between.
Well, he's a little rough and crude, maybe, but...
Darling, please drop that pose. Matt Howard knows something about you. Something that you want to hide and keep hidden.
Helene, you're wrong. Matt Howard...
Don't lie to me.
Oh, forget it, please, will you?
I can't. I've got to know, George. I've got to know right now.
Very well. My name is not George Coombs.
Go on.
I was, up to 12 years ago, Bennett Deal, convict 63290. I escaped prison with 5 other men. They were caught. I wasn't. You want to hear more?
Go on.
I was in for life, a 4th offender under the law. I'm not defending myself. I wasn't framed. I deserved what I was getting. But in prison, for the first time, I had a chance to learn something, to study, to read. And it opened up a whole new life to me. I worked hard to improve myself, to be somebody. But what chance would an old ex-con have to start life over at 50? When the opportunity for escape presented itself, I jumped at it. Well, I was lucky. I got away. Came here to Saterford. The rest you know.
Is that all?
Well, isn't that enough?
Yes.
Well?
Well, I love you.
Helene. I should have told you sooner, but I was afraid.
You're afraid now, aren't you? That's what Matt Howard is holding over your
He
head.
wants money, lots of it.
Well, then give it to him.
But you don't understand. It'll never stop. He knows we're going to be married. He knows you have money.
What if you turned him into the police?
Well, I'd go back with him this time forever. I'd never get out.
Well, then what can you do?
There are two things one can do about a blackmailer. You can go on paying.
And the other?
The other. I don't want to think of that yet. I didn't see much of Helene for the next few days. I pretended that my job kept me too busy. But it was actually my dread of facing her, of seeing that unasked question in her eyes. What was I going to do about Matt Howard? She called finally and asked me to meet her for dinner.
Our friend Matt was over at the plant this afternoon. He got in to see Dad by using your name.
What for?
He wants a job.
A job? Are you certain?
Yes? Why?
Well, it's very strange. With $5,000 of my money in his pocket and the prospect of getting more, Matt Howard goes job hunting.
Would there be any harm in your vouching for him with Dad?
I don't know. Suppose he is planning some shady deal, Helene. Suppose he does something which might point the finger at me, or worse, involve you. Helene, the best thing for you to do is to forget the whole business. And me along with it.
You trying to tell me I've been jilted?
Well, suppose we went ahead and got married. Every morning you'd have to face the inevitable fact that it might be our last day together.
I'd face that. You see, George, all my life I've gotten the things I wanted. Maybe I've been a spoiled brat, but I'm too old now to change my ways. And I want you. I want to marry you.
But, darling, this would be...
Wait. Now listen to me. If Matt Howard is in the way, if he is keeping us from what we want...
Don't say it, Helene. Shh. Wait. The head waiter's coming this way.
Oh, he's motioning that you've got a phone call.
Oh, I see. Well, pardon me, dear. I'll be right back. Hello?
George Coombs?
Yes?
This is Detective Hamilton. You know, we met when you and Miss Anderson were at the police benefit show.
Yes, sure, Hamilton. I remember you. What is it?
Well, it's kind of ridiculous, and I hate to bother you, but we picked up a man early this evening.
Yes, go on.
Well, he says he knows you.
What's he wanted for?
Suspicion of murder.
What's his name?
Howard. Matt Howard. Says he was with you last night at the time a man was killed. Now, it's obvious that he's lying, and all I want you to do is to say so.
I'll be right over, Hamilton.
Well, that isn't necessary. All you have to do is...
I'll be right over.
What is it, George?
It happened. Matt Howard killed a man last night. He wants me to give him an alibi.
What are you going to do?
I'm going over to police headquarters.
And are you going to give him an alibi?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hiya, pal. I knew you'd go to bat for me.
You fool, you stupid, stir-crazy fool.
All right. So I made a mistake. I didn't mean to kill him.
You didn't mean to. If this weren't so tragic, it'd be funny.
I said I was sorry. And everything's okay now. You gave me my alibi.
I haven't given any alibi.
I see. But you will, won't you, baby? You'll say I was with you last night. Because if you don't...
I know. How did it happen?
Well, things is pretty dull, so I get into this crap game. My luck is bad. By 9 o'clock, I'm rubbing together in my pocket 2 C-notes, the tag end of my roll.
200 left out of the 5,000.
Yeah. Well, I was sore. I remember the guy says he's closing the game up at 11 o'clock.
So you went back and killed him.
I was identified as one of the guys in the game, but they really got nothing on me if you gave me the alibi.
If I do, Matt, that would square us off for good, wouldn't it? We'd be quits from now on. You could grab the next train for New York.
Grab the next train for New York, he says. You're a funny guy, Benny. Funny like them comics on the radio.
I mean it, Matt. The river's dried up. The feast is over. There's no more dough. That's all I have.
What about your rich girlfriend after you marry her?
There's not going to be a marriage. We washed the whole deal up tonight.
You done this on purpose. You done it to cheat me.
Maybe.
Why, I ought to kill you.
You ought to kill me. All right, get up. Get up.
Oh, okay, Benny. Shouldn't have tried that with you.
Get this through your head, Matt. You can't blackmail me anymore. I've got as much on you as you have on me.
All right, brave boy. I'm calling you bluff. I'm playing this game my way. And here's the cards. You're going to tell the cops I was with you last night. I'm staying here, and you're going to marry the Anderson doe. You like the hand? I got nothing to lose. You have. Your move.
Well, Mr. Coombs, 5-minute visiting time is up.
I'm glad you come in, Chief. Mr. Coombs just been checking with me on the time I came over to see him last night.
What goes, Mr. Coombs?
And I guess he does, Hamilton. I'm giving him his alibi. Hello.
George, Elaine.
Oh, yes.
You gave him his alibi, didn't you?
Yes. Well, how did you find out so quickly?
He called me.
He called you?
Yes, and he's coming here to my house.
What does he want?
I couldn't quite make out something about patching things up between us. What'd you tell him?
I told him we had a bust-up. But, Helene, you shouldn't have told him he could come out there.
Don't you see, George? This is our chance.
Our chance?
Are you coming here, or will I have to do it alone?
I'll be right out.
Mr. Coombs is here, Miss Anderson.
Oh, thank you, Edward. Hello, darling.
Helene.
We're all ready to go, Miss Anderson. The car is in the driveway.
That's fine, Edward. I hope you enjoy the picture. Good night.
Good night, Miss. Good night, sir.
Good night. You're sending all the servants out, huh?
Matt's orders. He wants to see me in private. He knows that Dad left for Detroit this afternoon.
He's taking no chances, is he?
He's taking a big chance, George. Bigger than he knows.
It won't work, Helene. We can't do it.
We can. Nobody knows he's coming here. Nobody but you and me.
No, it won't work.
Now listen to me. Just listen, George. We can put his body in your car, take him to the family fun trip.
No, Helene, no. I don't want you mixed up in it.
We've got to do it. We'll do it together. I've got Dad's revolver. I'm not afraid, and it's our last chance. It's our only chance.
Matt Howard has to die. But I won't have you involved. I'll do it myself. It took me less time to get back to the center of town than it took to get to Helene's. And when I got to the business district, I parked the car on a dark side street and went into a drugstore and called Matt Howard's hotel. They told me he was out. I called Helene.
He's here, George.
I must have missed him on the way. Don't do anything. Send him back to town.
But, all right.
How did he come out? Taxi?
Rented car.
Good. Send him back to town. I went back to the road he'd have to take. It was late, and there was no traffic. I parked and waited. I must have waited about half an hour. Then I saw it coming, his car. I switched on my ignition, started my car. He went past. I started after him. Slowly, I overtook him, pulled alongside. I could see his face, strained with fright, fear, as he hunched over the wheel. Then I cut in front of him. I got out of my car and looked at him. He was dead. He'd swerved to avoid hitting me and crashed into a concrete embankment. My car wasn't even scratched. We hadn't been seen. The lights were all out in Helene's house when I got there. She'd probably gone to bed, I thought. I rang the bell. No answer. I was getting back into my car. Edwards and the servants drove up. What a break. My alibi completed if I need one. Edwards saw me come in, and now he sees me leaving. Hello, Edwards. Good movie?
Oh, yes, sir. Now you leaving?
Yes, Edwards. Miss Anderson has just gone to bed. Good night.
Good night, sir.
I never felt better in my life. Matt's death would look like an accident. And if there was any question, I had a perfect alibi. I climbed into bed with the knowledge that I'd get my first good sleep since Matt Howard came to Saterford. I couldn't have been asleep for more than an hour when I was awakened by someone knocking on my door. Who's there?
It's me, Hamilton. Open up.
Oh, wait a minute. What's all the fuss, Hamilton?
Mr. Coons, I must warn you, everything you say now can be used against you.
Sounds serious.
Yes, it is. Murder.
Murder? Again? Is this your idea of a gag, Hamilton?
Where were you this evening after you left me?
At my fiancé's home, you know. Helene Anderson.
Yes, that checks all right. You left at what time?
Why, about 11:35. Edwards the butler saw me.
That's it, Mr. Coons.
Well, fine. Now, will you please go away and let me get some sleep?
I'm sorry, Mr. Coons. I'm going to have to hold you for murder.
But me? Who did I murder?
Your fiancée, Helene Anderson. Strangled to death.
There it is. My story. Matt must have overheard Helene talking on the phone to me. In fear or panic, he killed her. Whatever happened, Helene's dead. I don't care much what happens to me now. The irony of the situation is that Matt's death was put down as accidental. Well, the jury is out now. They won't be out long. As the prosecutor said in his closing speech, what can you expect from an habitual criminal? A 4-time loser.
Welcome to the Black Mass. Grief is an artist, of powers as various as the instruments upon which he plays his dirges for the dead, evoking from some the sharpest, shrillest notes, from others the low, grave chords that throb recurrent like the slow beating of a distant drum. Some natures it startles, some it stupefies, To one it comes like the stroke of an arrow, stinging all the sensibilities to a keener life. To another, as the blow of a bludgeon, which in crushing benumbs. These lines of Ambrose Bierce serve well to introduce our adaptation of his short story, The Boarded Window.
Everybody hereabouts knew the spot was haunted. Kids used to run up and throw stones at the cabin and then head out of there. Said they'd heard a rifle shot wing at them, or the ghost of one. I used to go up to the cabin now and then. Maybe it was the mystery of the place. More likely the sadness. It said something sad about them times. I found out about the rifle shot, just an echo from the canyon if you throw a rock against the cabin. See, you can hear it when I throw. Sounds like a rifle shot, but it's only an echo. The old man's name was said to be Murlock. As much as we know, he was one of the first to arrive out in these parts. His wife died shortly after they got settled. That was so long ago, no one can remember anything about her. After that, he just lived on alone in the cabin. And you can still see where he cleared the ground. The trees never grew back. Made what little he needed off skin trading. Looks like he never used his clearing for growing anything. The whole story is just what you see. Cabin, clearing, and the two graves over there. One day they found him in the cabin dead. They couldn't tell for how long exactly. And they buried him alongside the grave of his wife. Well, that's about all there was, except for the window and what I found out. The cabin has a single door and one window, boarded up. No one can remember a time when the window wasn't boarded up. Well, that was the mystery. The door is gone and the cabin's empty, except for an old table no good for any use. But the window still keeps something out. I don't know if what I'll tell you explains it. You can judge for yourself. I was up here late one afternoon, supposed to see if there was anything about the cabin worth calculating in the sale of the timber property. Well, I was just standing here beside the house looking at the window. Don't know what put the idea in mind, but I took up a stone and walked up to the window. It didn't take more than a few hits, and the boards began giving in, so as I could just push in from the bottom with my hand. The upper nails acted like a hinge, and the boards opened up like a window. I looked inside. The whole place was as dark as night. Then it began happening. The darkness seemed to pour out of the room all around me, till it was dark night everywhere. Then, in the room, I saw them, like they began to light up, or like I could see in the dark. I tell you, I saw the two of them. The body of a woman lying on the table, and him, Murlock, guess it was Murlock, asleep in the chair, head and arms on the table beside her. I found myself in the room, but I couldn't stand up. It was like some dream. I was on all fours, staring at the body of the woman, and then some strange compulsion seemed to take hold of me, and I sprang at her.
When we settled here, long ago, Janice and me, we had plans. Plans to clear the land and farm it. We were one of the first out here, and we had plans. Later we'd go to Cincinnati, maybe, or further west, with the children as they came, seeing new things. That was the spirit then. She had it. She had it strong for a woman. She kept me afire with it. It was a fire between us. No man ever loved that much, I thought. Janice. It all ended. Ended almost before it began. It didn't even last beyond that first spring, when she was took from me. I came in one day from gunning, and there she was.
Fever.
Janice, there's no doctor, save 30 miles in Parlee. Oh, but it's going to be all right, Janice. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you.
Help me.
Janice.
We must stay together.
Of course, Janice.
It can't happen like this. All we've got to do.
Hush, Janice, hush. Hush, we'll make it. We'll make it. But in 3 days, she was gone. Just gone. Janice. I watched her till morning. I couldn't believe that white face and still body was all there was left. When the day came, seems I looked so long that all my feelings had gone too, gone with her. There was that what had to be done, and far as we were from anywhere, there was none to do it but myself. I hammered the boards into a box big enough. Pray God that was all that had to be done. It wasn't, Janice. The dead have to be
prepared for burial. It is a sacred duty. It had to be done. And I didn't know exactly how. I didn't remember exactly what I heard must be done. I did what I thought should. It was that. Oh, Janice. It was that had to be taken out so as the body not swell. Some things I did incorrectly, but as best I knew. Other things I did over and over. Janice, the duty for burial. It was the duty to do it. And afterwards, I washed the body. I washed the body clean. Again and again. I didn't cry, Janice. I didn't cry. It was the right thing, best as I could do it. But I can't cry. Isn't it unkind not to cry for the dead? No, tomorrow. Tomorrow when I dig the grave and lower the box and roll the dirt in, then I'll miss you, Janice, when you're no longer in sight. Now, it's all right. It must be all right. Fix your hair. Remember how you'd comb it out. Long golden hair. Then braid. I do it over and over till I get it right. And the ribbon. Oh, the ribbon to bind your wrists, Janice. I tie the ribbon over and over. I don't know how many times before the bow is just right. It must look just right. Just right, Janice. I worked almost all night. Then laid the body on the table. All ready for the morning. Still there was no grief. My heart could not contain it all. Nor could I rightly conceive it. I didn't know I was so hard-struck. That would come later. Later, Janice, and never go. Oh, I was tired. I was tired. Cried. It might have been a beast, maybe a dream. Oh, I was too tired to tell. Tired. Suddenly something woke me. It was pitch. I strained my eyes to see. I could see nothing but the dark. There was something in the room. Something alive. Something alive beside me. I felt the table shake. As if... Janice! Someone was walking. Janice! Janice! I flung my arms across the table. Janice! Nothing was there. Janice, you can't be alive. You can't be alive after what I did to you. Stop! Stop! Where's the rifle? The flash will light up the room. Stop! Stop! It was a cat. A panther. Dragging her to the window, its teeth fixed in her throat. Stop! 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 And when I returned to consciousness, the sun was high. The body lay near the window where the beast had left it. The clothing was deranged. The long hair in disorder. The limbs lay anyhow. From the throat. Torn apart. A pool of blood. The ribbon with which I had bound the hands was broken. The hands were tightly clenched. Between the teeth was a fragment of the animal's ear. That was The Boarded Window by Ambrose Bierce. The part of the narrator was played by Ben Jacopetti. The part of Janice was played by Amanda Folger. Murlock was played by Eric Bauersfeld. The musical background was performed and partly composed by Carl Schrager. The technical production was by John Whiting. Well, there is a little time left. Not enough to present the other feature we had hoped to have ready for you this evening, Franz Kafka's story, The Judgment. It will be ready by next time. Instead, continuing our Ambrose Bierce Festival, here is an old favorite of the Black Mass. Those of you who have already heard it can get back to the coffee shop. For the rest, here is another side of Mr. Bierce. My name is Buffer Beans. I was born of honest parents in one of the humbler walks of life. My father being a manufacturer of dog oil, and my mother having a small studio in the shadow of the village church, where she disposed of unwelcomed babies. In my boyhood, I was trained to the habits of industry. I not only assisted my father in procuring dogs for his vats, but was frequently employed by my mother to carry away the debris of her work in the studio. In performance of this duty, I sometimes had need of all my natural intelligence, for all the law offices in the vicinity were opposed to my mother's business. They were not elected on an opposition ticket, and the matter had never been made a political issue. It just happened so. My father's business of making dog oil was naturally less unpopular, though the owners of missing dogs sometimes regarded him with suspicion, which was reflected to some extent upon me.
my father had as silent partners all the physicians of the town, who seldom wrote a prescription which did not contain what they were pleased to designate as oil of canine. It is really the most valuable medicine ever discovered. But most persons are unwilling to make personal sacrifices for the afflicted, and it was evident that many of the fattest dogs in town had been forbidden to play with me, a fact which pained my young sensibilities, and at one time came near to driving me to be a pirate. Looking back upon those days, I cannot but regret, at times, that by indirectly bringing my beloved parents to their death, I was the author of misfortunes profoundly affecting my future. One evening, while passing my father's oil factory with the body of a foundling from my mother's studio, I saw a constable who seemed to be closely watching my movements. Young as I was, I had learned that a constable's acts, of whatever apparent character, are prompted by the most reprehensible motives, and I avoided him by dodging into the oilery by a side door which happened to stand ajar. I locked it at once, and was alone with my dead. My father had retired for the night. The only light in the place came from the furnace, which glowed a deep, rich crimson under one of the vats, casting ruddy reflections on the wall. Within the cauldron, the oil still rolled in indolent ebullition, occasionally pushing to the surface a piece of dog. Seating myself to wait for the constable to go away, I held the naked body of the foundling in my lap and tenderly stroked its short, silken hair. Ah, how beautiful it was. Even at that early age, I was passionately fond of children. And as I looked upon this cherub, I could almost find it in my heart to wish that the small red wound upon its breast, the work of my dear mother, had not been mortal. It had been my custom to throw the babies into the river, which nature had thoughtfully provided for the purpose. But that night, I did not dare to leave the oilery for fear of the constable. After all, I said to myself, it cannot greatly matter if I put it into this cauldron. My father will never know the bones from that of a puppy. And the few deaths which may result from administering another kind of oil for the incomparable oil of canine are not important in a population which increases so rapidly. In short, I took the first step in crime and brought myself untold sorrow by casting the baby into the cauldron. The next day, somewhat to my surprise, my father rubbed his hands with satisfaction as he reported to my dear mother.
Amazing. Simply amazing. What is it, dear? You're absolutely radiant. Do tell us what has happened. Astounding. They said they never saw anything like it.
Never saw anything like what, my dear Mr. Bings?
The oil. This morning's vats produced the finest quality oil that was ever seen. They all said so. The physicians to whom I showed the samples pronounced it the finest ever.
Well, dear, what did you do to improve it so? Do tell us, for heaven's sake.
But that's just it. I have no knowledge whatsoever as to how the result was obtained. The dogs were treated in all respects as usual. They were, in fact, of a very ordinary breed. Was that not so, Buffer? Buffer!
I deemed it my duty to explain, which I did, though palsied would have been my tongue if I could have foreseen the consequences. Mr. Bings, how very disconcerting that for so long we should have been ignorant of combining our industries.
True, Mrs. Bings. And we must take immediate measures to repair our error.
Certainly so, Mr. Bings, certainly so. First thing, we shall remove my studio to a wing of the factory building.
This very evening we shall begin.
Oh, Buffer, dear, what greater joy might a beloved son bring to his beloved parents than an enterprising mind? and my duties in connection with the business ceased. I was no longer required to dispose of the bodies of the small superfluous, and there was no need of alluring dogs to their doom, for my father discarded them altogether, though they still had an honorable place in the name of the oil. So, suddenly thrown into idleness, I might naturally have been expected to become vicious and dissolute. But I did not. I did not. The holy influence of my dear mother was ever about me to protect me from the temptations which beset youth. And my father was a deacon in the church. Ah, alas, that through my fault these estimable persons should have come to so bad an end. Finding a double profit in her business, my mother now devoted herself to it with a new assiduity. She removed not only superfluous and unwelcome babies to order, but went out into the highways and byways, gathering in children of a larger growth, and even such adults as she could entice. My father, too, enamored of the superior quality of oil produced, purveyed for his vats with diligence and zeal. The conversion of their neighbors into dog oil became, in short, the one passion of their lives. An absorbing and overwhelming greed took possession of their souls and served them in place of a hope in heaven. So enterprising had they now become that a public meeting was held.
And we are resolved, Mr. and Mrs. Bings, that our censuring must needs be severe if your invasions upon the population continue. We assure you that further raids will be met in a spirit of hostility by one and all.
My poor parents left the meeting broken-hearted, and I believe not altogether sane. Anyhow, I deemed it prudent not to enter the oilery with them that night, but slept outside in a stable. About midnight, some mysterious impulse caused me to sneak through an open window into the furnace room, where I knew my father slept now. The fires were burning as brightly as if the following day's harvest was expected to be abundant. One of the large cauldrons was slowly walloping with a mysterious appearance of self-restraint, as if it bided its time to put forth its full energy. And my father was not in bed. He had risen in his nightclothes and was preparing a noose in a strong cord. From the looks which he cast at the door of my mother's bedroom, I knew too well the purpose he had in mind. Speechless and motionless with terror, I could do nothing in prevention or warning. Suddenly, the door of my mother's apartment was opened noiselessly, and the two confronted each other, both apparently surprised. The lady also was in her nightclothes, and she held in her right hand the tool of her trade, a long, narrow-bladed dagger. For one instant, they looked into each other's blazing eyes, and then sprang together in indescribable fury. Round and round the room they struggled, the man cursing, the woman shrieking, both fighting like demons. She to strike him with the dagger, he to strangle her with his bare hands. I know not how long I had the unhappiness to observe this disagreeable instance of domestic infelicity. But at last, after a more than usual vigorous struggle, the combatants suddenly moved apart. My father's breast and my mother's weapon showed evidences of contact. For another instant, they glared at each other in the most unamiable way. Then, my poor wounded father, feeling the hand of death upon him, leaped forward, unmindful of resistance, grasped my dear mother in his arms, dragged her to the side of the boiling cauldron, collected all his failing energies, and sprang in with her. In a moment, both had disappeared, and were adding their oil to that of the committee of citizens who had called the day before with an invitation to the public meeting. convinced that these unhappy events closed to me every avenue of an honorable career in that town, I removed to the famous city of Otumwee, where these memoirs are written with a heart full of remorse for a heedless act entailing so dismal a commercial disaster. That was Oil of Dog by Ambrose Bierce, performed by your host of the Black Mass, with technical production by John Whiting. And now, good night.
Next up is Proof of Positive.
As president of the local psychical society, I had received a note from our speaker a little more than a week before, written by a hand which trembled with sickness, age, or drunkenness. It asked urgently for a special meeting of the society. An extraordinary, a really impressive experience was to be described while still fresh in the mind, though what the experience had been was left vague. Now, I would have hesitated to comply if the note had not been signed by a Major Philip Weaver, Indian Army retired. One had to do what one could for a brother officer. The trembling of the hand must have been neither age or sickness. It proved principally to be the latter, actually. Well, we met for the first time on the platform. Major Weaver was not more than 60, tall, thin, and dark, with an ugly, obstinate nose, the most unlikely person to have experienced anything unexplainable at all. But what antagonized me most was that Weaver used scent. A white handkerchief which drooped from his breast pocket exhaled as rich and sweet an odour as a whole altar of lilies.
A privilege, Colonel Crayshaw.
Dr. Brown, Major Weaver.
How do you do?
A privilege.
General Ledbetter, Major Weaver.
A privilege, I'm sure. A pleasure, I'm sure.
And Mrs. Ledbetter.
Charmed.
Well, I think we better get right along. Everyone seems to be here. I'm sorry it's such a small audience, sir, but it's terrible weather, you know.
Does anyone object if I smoke? Yes. Would you mind not smoking?
Yeah. All right.
My throat has been bad for some time.
Oh, yes. Well, what with this terrible weather, you know, influenza, throats.
In my case, Colonel Crayshaw, in my case, it's cancer.
Oh.
Yes, cancer.
Well, I think we better get right along.
Yes.
Yes, I will take this chair over here.
Colonel Crayshaw, and members of the Psychical Society, I am deeply privileged to address this distinguished organization. Your kind indulgence toward my urgent request will be duly rewarded. You shall have the opportunity to hear of an extraordinary, I might say, a really impressive experience, which is sure to alter your whole view of the relative values of matter and spirit. Spirit, the spirit and matter, the body, our temple, as it were, of the spirit, the home and temporary habitat of the seen the spirit.
Mystic stuff, you know. I don't know.
The spirit is stronger, far stronger than anyone realizes. The physiological action of heart and brain and nerves and so on are subordinate, I say, subordinate to the spirit. The spirit is so much stronger than you think. It's immortal. It's immortal.
Sick.
Now, it is immortal. Now, this is important. I can tell you a story. Signs and wonders.
Major Weaver?
When I was at Simla, in Simla, and I said the spirit much stronger than you. Galatians, the epistle of Saint Paul. He that soweth to the spirit shall of the spirit reap life everlasting. If we live in the spirit, immortal, I assure you. The spirit does not die when the body dies. Be led by the spirit. When I was in Simla...
Can't you make him stop, Crayshaw? The man is obviously very ill. And what good is this talk anyway?
I'll try, but give him a moment.
Much stronger, and I...
All right.
Proof, immortal, spirit, proof, much stronger, proof, positive. I'll give you proof, positive, spirit, proof, positive.
My God, Dr. Barnes.
I told you to stop him. Here, throw his handkerchief away. The perfume is all over the hall.
Give it here. How is he?
Send them all away. Send them away at once. He's dead. My God, he's dead. And Crayshaw, bring back the handkerchief. Quickly.
I understood. The most hideous stench of decaying flesh came from the body the moment the handkerchief was removed. Major Weaver's appearance was incredible. The body might have been one fished from the sea a long while after death. The flesh of the face seemed as ready to fall as an overripe fruit.
Crayshaw, the man must have been dead a week.
Proof he had probably meant that the spirit outlived the body, that it tasted eternity. But all he had certainly revealed was how, without the body's aid, the spirit in 7 days decayed into whispered nonsense.
Hello. Welcome to the Black Mass. We've been hoping you'd join us tonight. There's plenty of room in our establishment for everyone. I see that most of you are standing in the outer darkness, along the walls, in the corners. Well and good. But our inner circle, our chain of empathy, is not yet complete. 12 is such an even number. We need just one more. Won't someone volunteer? come on. It's only in spirit. Ah, yes, you'll do nicely. Right here, on my left. Now, we're all set. We had originally planned tonight's story as a special offering for Mother's Day. Well, here belatedly, but with all due respect, is our adaptation of The Death of Halpin Fraser by Ambrose Bierce. For by death is wrought greater change than hath been shown. Whereas the spirit that removed itself cometh back upon occasion, and is sometimes seen as appearing in the form of the body it bore. Yet it hath happened that the body without the spirit hath walked. And it is attested that a corpse so raised hath no natural love, nor remembrance thereof, but only hate. Also it is known that some spirits which in life were benign become by death evil altogether. One dark night in midsummer, a man waking from a dreamless sleep in a forest lifted his head from the earth and stared a few moments into the blackness. Catherine. He said nothing more, for he was dead. The man was Halpin Fraser, and his body was discovered the following morning by Sam Hulker, the deputy sheriff from Napa, and Jim Jarrelson, a detective from San Francisco. The two men left the town of St. Helena at the first glimmer of dawn and walked along the road northward up the valley toward Calistoga. They carried guns on their shoulders. Their business was man-hunting.
How far is it?
It's only a little ways yet. There's a turn up ahead, and it's just beyond that.
Don't see how we'll see anything when we get there. In this fog.
Oh, it'll thin out and blow off around noon, I expect. Then we'll wait around till he shows.
Until he shows?
Oh, he'll show all right, I've seen him 3 times. Yep, not another soul knows he's on this side of the mountains.
You know, from what you've been saying, the man must be insane.
Yeah, likely.
You say he's been hanging around in the graveyard.
Yeah, where they buried his wife. Now, she was the weirdy. Ooh. Maybe you can't blame him for what he did to her. But then, he sure had a lot of practice before her. She was a widow when he met her. In fact, came to California to look up some relative. But you know all about that.
Yeah.
Strange people. Well, now, here we are. Over here, you can see the graveyard's not kept up. Not used anymore. Weeds all grown over the stone. Look out you don't trip on them there.
Hey, what about Branscombe? Shouldn't we watch out if he's around?
Oh, no. He don't show up till dark. Thought I'd show you the ground and we could make some sort of plan for later. Her grave's over here. He'll come by it like I saw him before.
Over here, under this spruce tree. You know, it's still a mystery to me why... Hey there. Hey there now.
What?
Hey there now. Look at this.
What is it? Well... Is it Branscombe?
No, it isn't him. Don't know who it is.
The body lay upon its back, the legs wide apart. One arm was thrust upward, the other outward. But the latter was bent acutely, and the hand was near the throat. Both hands were tightly clenched. The whole attitude was that of desperate but ineffectual resistance to what?
Well, there's a shotgun over there. A game bag with birds in it. He's out game hunting.
Yeah. Looks like he put up a fight, too. See those oak shoots all bent back? Yeah, somebody bigger than him, it looks. See the knee marks in the earth beside his hips there? Strangled, all right. Look at the face.
Yeah. Well, it was Branscombe did it. Sure enough. Yeah. Sure enough.
I had been all day in the hills west of the Napa Valley, looking for such small game as was in season. Late in the afternoon, it had come on to be cloudy, and the absence of trails had so impeded me that I was overtaken by night. Unable in the darkness to penetrate the thickets, I had lain down near the roots of a large tree and fallen into a sleep, dreamless until I heard the name pronounced, I couldn't imagine why, from my own throat. Then I lay down and went to sleep, but this time no longer dreamless. I thought I was walking along a dusty road that showed white in the gathering darkness of a summer night. Why or where I traveled, I did not know, though it all seemed simple and natural as is the way in dreams. A side road left off, the appearance of having been long abandoned because it seemed it led to something evil. Yet I turned into it without hesitation, impelled by some imperious necessity. As I pressed forward, I became conscious that my way was haunted by invisible existences. From among the trees on either side, I caught broken and incoherent whispers in a strange tongue, which yet I partly understood. They seemed to me fragmentary utterances of a monstrous conspiracy against my body and my soul. A shallow pool in an old wheel rut caught my eye with a crimson gleam. I stooped and plunged my hand into it. It stained my fingers. It was blood. It was blood. Blood was everywhere about me. The weeds showed it in blots and splashes on their leaves. Defiling the trunks of the trees were broad maculations of crimson, and blood dripped like dew from their foliage. All this I observed with a terror and an expectation. It seemed to be all in expiation of some crime.
I was aware of my guilt, but I couldn't remember the crime. I tried to search it out by tracing my life backwards to discover the moment of sin. Scenes and incidents came crowding, one picture effacing and confusing another. But nowhere could I catch a glimpse of the crime. I felt as if I had murdered in the dark, not knowing whom or why. Oh, so frightful was it, so noxious the plants and the trees, so conspiring. And from overhead, everywhere came the whispers, sighs of creatures not of this earth. Louder. I could not endure it. It was a spell that bound all my actions. I had to break through it. It was choking me. I had to scream to break through it. I had made a beginning at resistance and was encouraged. I will not submit unheard. There may be powers that are not malignant traveling this accursed road. I shall leave my record and an appeal. I shall relate the wrongs, the persecutions that I endure. I, a helpless mortal and a penitent. I found a memorandum in my pocket, but no pencil. I had no pencil. I broke a twig from a bush and dipped it into a pool of blood. And I began to write. I wrote rapidly. I wrote my appeal. Oh, I don't know where the words came from, but I wrote. But it seemed I had hardly touched the paper with the twig when I heard her. At first from some measureless distance away. Soulless, heartless, accursed. A strange sensation began to take possession of my body and my mind. Some overpowering presence, a malevolence. Approaching me. I could not tell from what direction, from everywhere. She was everywhere about me. I had to complete my record, my appeal. I wrote with terrible rapidity, the twig rilling blood without renewal. My appeal. But in the middle of a sentence, I could not move my hands. My arms fell to my sides. The paper to the earth. I was drawn about. I looked up, staring into a face, sharply drawn face, blank, dead eyes, standing white and silent in the garments of the grave. Kathy. Mother.
Halpin was the youngest. He was more delicate than the rest, and perhaps a trifle spoiled. His father had little time for him. His father was what no Southern man is not, a politician. It took a good deal of his time, and I suppose it saved us from the war. But then later, other children were at school, and I had Halpin all to myself. I was very happy. We were both very happy. His father wanted him to study law. Oh, my law. Halpin was a dreamer, a romantic boy. I knew from the very beginning that he could be a poet. Well, it was in his blood. And he was the living image and character of his maternal grandfather, the late and great Myron Bayne. That was my father, the famous poet, you know. He died just before Halpin was born, so they never knew each other. But I used to think that Halpin was the very incarnation, the very living image. It's true, you know, that before Halpin was born, Myron was all I had. Well, that was really how it was. My husband was in politics, you know, and the children came and went with him all so fast. And it's true, I can hardly remember one of them now. Sometimes I think there was only Halpin after all. And before him, Myron Bayne. Oh, Myron, we always believed we'd be together again afterwards. But being alive was all we had, after all, wasn't it? You see, my father and I were very close. I was his inspiration. I was all he had, the only one he ever really loved. We had a perfect sympathy that the world would never have understood. So we had to take care. We had to protect our beautiful weakness, our guilt. Then suddenly he died, and I waited in all this dark world until Halpin was born. His father wanted him to study law. Oh, my. The Tennessee Frasers were a practical folk, having a contempt for any quality unfitting a man for the wholesome vocation of politics. Well, Halpin was going to disappoint them, and they could see it from the first. And what they said about him only showed their ignorance. They said he wasn't a very bright, and he was a crazy like his grandfather, Myron Bayne. Oh, my. Sometimes you just have to shut the whole world out, don't you? So I expected his mother spoiled him a little, and you can't go blaming her for that, can you? How happy we were, Halpin and I. I was still young, you know, they'd say. Halpin and his beautiful mother. Of course, from his early childhood, Halpin called me Kathy. Halpin and Kathy. No one would have known to look. They were jealous. Yes, they were of us, as our attachment became yearly stronger and more tender. By the time he was 25, Halpin was the most beautiful of God's creatures on this earth. I must say, he didn't turn out to be much of a poet by then. But I knew that it might just burst out of him at any moment. He had it all in him, of course. All waiting. I tried to help him a little with his writing and reading. He was a little slow at first. But he was a dreamer. A romantic dreamer. You know, the two of us were almost inseparable. And by strangers observing our manner, we weren't infrequently taken for lovers. Oh, my. In all their wild days, they'd never believed how right they were. And we laughed at them, Halpin. We laughed at them, at their outrage and envy. We knew they envied us. That element in all the relations of life, strengthening, softening, and beautifying. Yes, beautifying, even those of consanguinity. Oh, Halpin, do you remember? Do you remember even a single moment? Well, then there was that day you left me. Halpin had taken a job with a local lumber company. Oh, he wanted to do something. Didn't want to be so dependent on me, I suppose. And this friend of his talked him into working for the Talcott and Bleecker Lumber Company. Well, he hadn't been with them a month, And then that day he came into my boudoir. I suppose I knew, Halpin, by the way you kissed me on the forehead and toyed for a minute with a lock of my hair. Had you stopped loving me already, Halpin? We can't tell, can we, when someone really stops loving?
Kathy?
Well, Halpin, I have a distinct feeling that there's something on your mind. What is it, Halpin?
Oh, Kathy, would you greatly mind if I were called away to California for a few weeks?
To California?
It's with the company, Kathy. Mr. Talcott himself asked me to do this.
California is far away. How many weeks?
Only a few, Kathy. 4. Maybe 5.
Well, Halpin, it is hardly needful for me to answer with my lips a question to which my telltale cheeks have already made reply. Evidently, I would greatly mind.
Oh, Kathy, don't feel that way. I want to do this for the company, you know.
Yes, you want to get away, Halpin.
No.
I know. Oh, my dear son, I should have known this was coming. Didn't I lie awake half the night weeping because during the other half, Myron Bain, your grandfather, came to me in a dream, and standing by his portrait, young, too, and handsome as that, he pointed to your portrait on the same wall. And when I looked, it seemed that I could not see the features. You have been painted with a cloth over your face, a cloth such as we put on the dead. Your father has laughed at me when I've told him about my dreams. But you and I, dear, we know that such things are not for nothing. And Halpin, I saw below the edge of the cloth the marks of hands on your throat. Oh, Halpin, forgive me, but we've not been used to keep such things from each other. Perhaps you have a different interpretation of my dream, Halpin. Perhaps it does not mean that you will go to California. Or maybe will you take me with you?
That's such a strange dream, Kathy. You dreamed all that before. Didn't tell me.
Well, now you know, Halpin. I remember hearing that there are medicinal springs in California. Places where one recovers from rheumatism and neuralgia. Well, now, that might do me some good. My fingers have grown so stiff lately. You see, Halpin? So stiff, especially in the morning. I'm almost sure they have been giving me great pain while I slept. Like they was grasping something and just couldn't let go.
Like a throat, Kathy. Like a throat when you hold them like that.
Oh, but that's only in a dream, Halpin. And we don't want to mistake a dream for real life.
No, Kathy. No. We don't ever want to take a chance of mistaking a dream that way.
That was the last thing you ever said to me, Halpin. Seems I remember it as. You were gone next morning. Couldn't see you for dust. Oh, Halpin. At first I thought it was in a dream you left me, and I couldn't wake out of it, hard as I tried. My poor hands never straightened out. They try to find you in all their emptiness. You never wrote. You just vanished like you never was. Oh, my. I came all the way to California looking for you. A long while in San Francisco, someone said you'd gone to sea. So I watched the ships and the sailors. I thought each one was you, Halpin. I made believe they were because I wanted to wake up out of my dream. Then a very mean man indeed, took me up here to the mountains, and we lived a while torturing each other. I hid all his stolen money in the graveyard. Still looking for it, I suppose. Oh, he was very mean to me, Halpin. He had a little knife, which he kept sharp as a razor.
Kathy.
Look, Halpin.
Kathy.
Look at me.
Kathy,
see what he did?
Kathy.
He said he wanted to find the spot that hurt the most. But nothing hurt, Halpin. Nothing hurt.
Kathy.
Nothing hurt anywhere. Only the memory. And he couldn't find the right spot for that. But he got very close one dark night. See, Halpin? My delicate white throat. See how he cut with his razor knife from this ear to that ear. It never stopped bleeding, Halpin. Oh, you'd never believe how much blood could be stored up in one soulless body. See it, Halpin? Keeps me strong enough to come to you and bring these aching hands to your own warm, dear throat.
Kathy, no.
See me, Halpin? Kathy. See what's gone out of me?
No, Kathy, get away. Kathy.
Oh, mine.
Kathy, no.
Oh, please. Oh, love gone out of me. I am your dream, Halpin. There is no appeal for you, Halpin. No appeal.
To Jaralson and Holker, the nature of the struggle was made clear by a glance. The face and throat were purple, almost black. The shoulders lay upon a low mound, and the head was turned back at an angle otherwise impossible. From the froth filling the open mouth, the tongue protruded black and swollen. The throat showed terrible contusions, not mere finger marks, but bruises and lacerations wrought by two strong hands that must have buried themselves in the yielding flesh, maintaining their terrible grasp until long after death.
The work of a maniac, all right. Branscombe LaRue.
Hey, look here. Looks like he was writing something in a memorandum pad. Pretty scrawly. Well, I guess under the circumstances, can you make it out?
Oh, well, poetry looked like. The air was stagnant all, and silence was a living thing that breathed among the trees. With blood, the trees were all adrip.
God.
The spell, unbroken, still, rested on my spirit and my will.
You know, that sounds like Bain.
Bain? Who's Bain?
Myron Bain, a poet, half a century ago. Now, why should this poor fellow want to be copying down that dismal stuff?
Dismal, all right. Well, in a way, I guess it figures.
You have been listening to The Death of Halpin Frasier by Ambrose Bierce. The technical production for tonight's broadcast was by John Whiting. The music sound effect was specially composed and arranged for this program by Peter Winkler. The story was adapted and performed by your host of the Black Mass, Eric Bowersfeld, with Bernard Mays as Jaralson and the part of Catherine played by Pat Franklin. Miss Franklin will be heard again on the next Black Mass program in an adaptation of the story by Virginia Woolf, A Haunted House. This series was conceived by Jack Nessel and recorded in the studios of KPFA in Berkeley.
And we're back. So I guess he really was a 4-time loser. And I'm sure we'll have to stay more alert, considering those last 4 stories we listened to. Now coming up next on Creepaholics, a man with a dirty job, or a dangerous job. But this job doesn't end until the killer is found. Coming up, the man from the homicide. And next, a young couple run out of gas. There's a sadistic lunatic on the loose. They're all alone, and a killer with a meat cleaver is coming. Here is On a Country Road, starring Cary Grant.
The Man from Homicide. A new dramatic series starring Charles McGraw as Lieutenant Dana.
According to Webster's Unabridged Dictionary, homicide is the killing of one human being by another.
According to A Man from Homicide, it's just the beginning of a dirty, dangerous job that doesn't end until a killer is found. But I like it. Maybe because I don't like killers. We don't bother much with names at headquarters. We give them a number and a file card. When they're in and the case is closed, we file a card and forget it. Only sometimes we don't forget that easy. The perfect cop would have a computing machine for a brain and a hydraulic pump for a heart. The perfect cop would never get hurt. I'm not a perfect cop. Terminal Street pitches up sharp from San Miguel Harbor. It's not the kind of street you'd be taking a walk on unless you were a cop like me. On a case that started with a dead man in a ditch. A dead man who'd collected too many ice picks. I walked up Terminal Street at night with only the shadows for company until... You in a hurry?
What do you want?
Let's go inside where you just came from.
I can't.
Gun shy?
I gotta find a policeman.
You found one.
You? But...
No uniform? No, but the city gives me a badge to carry around.
Oh.
Lieutenant Dana, homicide, come on.
I'm so glad you were here. I'm frightened. I almost fell into that garbage can.
I'm sorry, but we'll still have to go into that house.
I know.
Door's locked. Let me have your key.
All right,
Never mind. Turns out it wasn't locked. Well, it's nice to know you have a key. It's nice carpet.
Yes.
Houses around here don't run the carpets often. You left the lights on. Where is he?
The living room. Door on your left.
Thanks. Why don't you sit down for a minute? Well, the corpse was male, white, in its early 30s. What might have been a look of surprise on his pretty face probably meant nothing because of the 2 bullet holes placed less than an inch apart in his chest. The expression on the faces of the dead being incapable of verification. Corpse wore silk socks. Silk socks.
What?
Whose house?
I live here, if that's what you mean.
That isn't what I mean.
It's a rented house.
The rent receipts being among his souvenirs? What's his name?
Winthrop. Harold Winthrop.
Yours?
Claire Thorpe.
You know, that suit he's wearing will never be the same. It's too bad. It's nice hair.
I didn't kill him. I was in the kitchen mixing drinks for us. I heard the shots and ran in here. I was frightened. I ran out to find a policeman. And...
You know, it would surprise you to hear the actual figures on telephones in use in a city of this size.
I was afraid to stay in the house. I should have phoned the police. I know.
Show me the kitchen, would you, please?
All right.
I wonder how many men wearing silk socks ever walk up Terminal Street.
The kitchen.
The back door's wide open.
I'll close it.
Wait a minute. Don't touch it. Don't touch that knob. Kick it shut. The drinks. The ice cubes are beginning to melt. Was he married?
Yes.
The pretty ones usually are. You know, this is a funny neighborhood for a man wearing silk socks to be found dead in. I'll bet he's embarrassed. The mills began to grind. I phoned in, and after a little while, during which none of us said anything, me, Claire Thorpe, the corpse, company came.
Come on, boys, let's get at it.
A handful of educated cops who did things with fingerprints and blood stains and photographs from 19 different angles. The gun that killed Winthrop was among the missing. A special escort arrived for Claire Thorpe.
All right, miss, let's go.
No. Wait a minute.
She started to cry again. So I decided to leave. Anyway, somebody had to notify the new widow she was a widow. I went down Terminal Street the way Claire Thorpe had run, stopped at the garbage can she'd stumbled over. There was nothing in it but garbage. The place covered what seemed like a couple of acres. The house undoubtedly had come over on the Mayflower. Even the trees looked refined. I rang the bell and decided the next time I visited, I'd be sure and get my shoes shined.
Yes?
Are you Mrs. Winthrop? Mrs. Harold Winthrop?
I am.
It's late.
Are you going to give me the weather report next?
No. You mind if I come in?
I don't suppose I do. Come in.
Thanks. We don't need that music.
It's Mozart.
Yeah?
His 39th. In D, I think. But you wouldn't know about that, would you?
No, I wouldn't know anything about that. Would you turn it off, please?
All right. Not important. Sometimes very important things aren't important. Why don't you sit down? Or something.
You got a big place here.
Oui. My husband and I like it.
Any children?
You're from the Census Bureau.
No. Any children?
None.
Okay.
I'm glad you approve. Or were you approving?
I'm Lieutenant Dana, homicide.
Oh, I've read about you men in the papers. I'm very much impressed. I don't know exactly what I would have expected one of you to look like. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you must have had a reason for coming here. Beside the fact that it's late.
I had a reason. Your husband isn't home.
No.
He's down in a sleazy shack on Terminal Street. That's near the harbor.
Am I supposed to ask you what he's doing there?
You can if you like.
All right. What is my husband doing in a sleazy shack on Terminal Street?
He's lying on an imitation Oriental rug with a couple of bullets in his heart.
You shouldn't wear your hat indoors, Lieutenant.
I'm sorry.
You won't mind if I don't try to squeeze out a tear?
No.
Harold hasn't meant anything to me for a long time. Alive or... death hasn't changed that. He wasn't very much of a man. I suppose that's why he had to go slinking down back alleys, trying to prove something to himself. Who killed him?
Did you ever hear of a woman named Claire Thorpe?
No, but he'd hardly tell me about her, would he?
Where are the servants?
Asleep.
Been home all evening, Mrs. Winthrop?
Yes.
What time did the servants turn in?
Around 10. What time was Harold killed?
10:30. Good night, Mrs. Winthrop.
Lieutenant Dana.
Yeah?
That question, it means I'm going to see you again, doesn't it? You might have answered that more quickly. All I meant was, in the line of duty...
You're beautiful, Mrs. Winthrop.
If you're going to say things like that, better make it...
Nearest I ever came to silk socks turned out to be rayon. Oh, one thing more.
Yes?
Mozart's 39th is an E flat. Good night. First interview with Mrs. Winthrop ascertained that she had no alibi for the time of her husband's murder. No grief for his death. Failed to discover possible motive, if any. Ignore female. White, middle 20s, dark eyes, olive skin. Soft black hair. A cop would give his pension to wind around his hands. Heading south on Claremont, I picked up a trailing car in my rearview mirror. His left beam was weaker, which led to recognition after a half a mile. Proceeding south on Claremont, I swung my car across the road. I got out and was waiting for him. He was fumbling for the reverse when I got his door open. You're looking for me?
Your car is blocking traffic.
What traffic?
I'm in a hurry, mister.
Get out.
I said
get out.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think I am?
Okay.
Now turn around.
All right, Dana.
Give me that gun. You got a license for it? Who put you on me?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Who put you on me?
You can't get away with beating.
You're a hood carrying a gun. Maybe you never heard. I don't like hoods who pull a gun on me. I lose my temper with them. Stop it. Who put you on me, crybaby?
Ready.
I know. He owns the Avon Club. Roulette and dice. The wheel's square, but the dice are loaded. Let's go visit.
Okay. Want to go in my car?
No, my car. The city pays for the gas. The spoiler dried his tears beside me. I had thoughts about Mr. Reddick. The department had been interested in him for quite a while. Crooked gambler, man who had a string of hoods in the payroll. A man who'd maybe seen to it that a rival wound up dead in a ditch punctured with ice picks. Also a man who liked women, not to mention vice versa.
Oh, me, spoiler. You I can recognize with, pardon the expression, the naked eye. Whose muscles? Lou Dana, Benny. Social call, copper?
We'll leave it at that.
We'll do even better than that, copper. You'll leave.
No.
Got a search warrant?
No.
Goodbye, copper.
Keep your finger off that buzzer.
What are you
This isn't a raid. I don't care for right now what's going on in the club. I'm visiting Reddick.
He ain't in.
Want to try that again, Benny?
He ain't in. Stop crowding me, copper.
You don't like crowds, Benny?
No.
How'd you like to join a crowd down at the lineup?
You got nothing on me.
I can dream, Benny. About a guy found dead in a ditch. A guy on the receiving end of ice picks. Stanley was trying to muscle in on your boss. What's the matter, boy? Don't you boys believe in free enterprise?
Down the hall, Dana.
Thanks. Come on, spoiler.
Yes?
Speak up, spoiler.
Spoiler, Mr. Reddick.
Come in. Spoiler, I thought you were supposed to...
He is trailing me. Trailed me right into your office, Reddick.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Other side of the door, spoiler.
Do we want to be alone, Lieutenant?
We do.
Mr. Reddick, he's got my rod.
Oh. Spoiler doesn't feel right without his protection, Lieutenant. Here's the license for that gun.
Oh, pretty engraving. It's a shame I can't read.
You could get in trouble taking the spoiler's gun.
He could get in worse trouble. He's a little careless.
Now that you mention...
Mr. Reddick, it ain't my fault. He beat up on me. Look at my face. It's swollen.
Biggest mosquitoes you ever saw this.
Mr. Reddick, do something about it. You send me after him, you know.
Spoiler.
Yeah, Mr. Reddick?
Yeah.
Sure, okay, but... Hey, Mr. Reddick, you ain't sore at me.
No.
I mean, I couldn't stand that. If you were sore at me,
Get out.
I couldn't help it if the guy... He wouldn't have tried it if I'd had a chance to get a gun on him.
Spoiler.
I want to talk to you.
Here's your gun. Catch. Now you got a gun on me.
Out, spoiler.
Yeah.
Not a strong character, the spoiler.
It wasn't a character analysis of spoiler that brought you here.
No.
I don't want any trouble with you, Dana. I realize perfectly well that you can make trouble. But perhaps I should remind you that my clientele happens to be composed of some of the finest people in the city.
You mean the best heeled. How's Harold Winthrop these days?
Harold Winthrop? Oh, yes, he's patronized the club on occasion. Mr. Winthrop, Lieutenant, is a gentleman of the highest social standing.
The last time I saw him, he was lying down.
Oh?
I want a gun, Reddick.
Lose your own?
The gun I want has 2 bullets missing. Bullets that wound up in Winthrop's chest.
Oh. Yes, I can see why you would want that gun.
Uh-huh. Tell me, where were you tonight at 10:30?
Reading a good book.
How many witnesses?
3, I think.
The spoiler, Benny. Who's the third?
Claire Thorpe.
Oh, she's the little blonde girl, isn't she? I heard tell you used to play together.
She's the girl you picked up and booked, Lieutenant.
At 10:30.
10:40. Terminal Street is only a few blocks from here.
Yeah. I hadn't realized that.
Think about it. 3 witnesses for her, too.
And I'm only one dumb copper. Good night, Reddick.
Good night.
It was dark in the alley back of the gambling club. I was close to my car and maybe careless. They were peeling the layers of black velvet off me. After a while, they got them all off. The place was maybe 20 miles outside the city limits. I had a gun in my hand. Mine. Maybe 4 feet from me, Spoiler was resting. I got up out of the sand and went over to him and decided he wasn't resting. A number of bullets had worn him down. Bullets out of my gun. That wasn't a good frame. It wasn't intended to be. Spoiler's death was insurance, nuisance value, and it consumed time. Wake up, Dave.
Oh, hi, Lieutenant. I'm wide awake.
Claire Thorpe.
What about her?
I want to talk to her.
She's been sprung, Lou.
The angle?
Habeas corpus. No murder weapon on the premises. No way she got rid of it. DA didn't care for her.
Why, that's stupid. Say, Dave, would you get Malone on a first aid kit?
Huh?
Blood's tickling the back of my neck.
Holy mackerel. Who slugged you?
Little boy Blue. Oh, one thing more. Locate Winthrop's lawyer. Find out who inherits, huh?
Whatever you say. First thing in the morning.
No. Tonight.
Okay.
Who was assigned to Claire Thorpe?
Nobody's tailing her. We didn't think it was...
Nobody? Look, find her, Pappy, and find her quick. I sat around headquarters and waited. Plenty of reports came in. The weather was going to be fine tomorrow. Captain O'Malley had a baby over in the 16th precinct. Mrs. Winthrop was the sole heir to the Winthrop estate. But nothing on Claire Thorpe. The department would turn her up in time, but I got tired of waiting. Maybe she'd gone back to the house on Terminal Street. Claire Thorpe had gone back to the house on Terminal Street for keeps. I phoned the sergeant. Then I sat on a flimsy bench in front of the vanity staring at my bandage in the mirror, stirring the Rochelle powder in the open box on the table. Claire Thorpe had stopped eating. When the fingerprint boys and the meat wagon got there, I got out fast. By the time I got to Reddick's Club, the finest people he'd mentioned had gone home.
I'm afraid you're a little late.
Well, you're not kidding.
I mean, the club's closing.
All those mink coats and no roulette?
Yes, sir.
My badge isn't going to look good compared to the gold braids you've got on your epaulets.
A cop.
Lieutenant Dane, if you want to be formal.
I didn't notice any other cops around.
There aren't any.
But if this is a raid...
It isn't. All I want's Reddick.
He's busy.
He's going to be busier.
Look, Lieutenant, I don't want to get into this. I got a job. It pays off.
You don't have to get into it. Where are they?
Well, office. Down the hallway from the main room. But I didn't tell you, see?
You didn't tell me.
Don't like it, Mr. Reddick.
Now, look, Benny, Good evening. Dear. Lieutenant Lou Dana. Glad you remembered me from the last time. Benny, take your hand out of your pocket.
Sure, copper.
See? Gun. You got a license for it? Never mind. Mr. Reddick will have one on file.
Oddly enough, Lieutenant, I have.
Makes it nice and legal.
Checking in all the guns in the city, Lieutenant.
No, I got a report for you from the Bureau of Vital Statistics.
Indeed.
Yeah, indeed. The population of the city's dropped within the last couple of hours. By 2.
2?
The spoiler, but that wouldn't be news to you.
You said 2?
Oh, imagine my forgetting. Claire Thorpe.
Claire? Dead?
As dead as they ever get, and they get very dead, Reddick. You had her sprung.
Yes, but that was...
brought her out in the open. The open's a good place to get shot.
You'll have to do any further talking with my attorney.
Oh, why don't you stop? I haven't got a whereas on me. Harold Winthrop, the spoiler, Claire Thorpe. Let's think about the spoiler, Reddick.
He was my boy.
How'd you happen to know he was dead? Oh, don't bother. Benny told you. How'd Benny know? Benny shot him with my gun. Benny?
Wise copper.
That wasn't nice. Especially when you had a gun of your own, licensed and all. Spoiler fell down on the job. He let me spot him trailing me. He wasn't a strong character, so he died.
You're doing fine.
The rest is tougher. Reddick, you never were a big man. Now you are. How come?
Merit is always recognized and rewarded.
Oh, yeah, in the copybooks. You moved up when the heavy money boys started dropping in at your club. Why?
They were treated properly.
They were robbed blind. But what made them suddenly decide you were a nice boy to play with, huh? Oh, no, wait a minute. Don't bother thinking up the answer. We got it from a stoolie weeks ago. The name is Winthrop. One of the oldest and classiest names in the city.
I was proud to be numbered among his friends.
In that case, then you're the one to ask. What was a guy like that doing in a house in Terminal Street?
Lieutenant, you've seen Clara Thorpe.
Oh, yeah, sure. Right after Winthrop was killed. She made a break from the house and ran into me. I took her back inside. But Reddick, before I did, she stumbled over a garbage can.
The poor girl must have been nervous.
The poor girl was smart. You know what she did, Reddick? She got rid of a hot gun in that garbage can.
Then all you had to do was search it.
At the time, I couldn't know about the gun. Afterwards, all I came up with was garbage.
Just like a cop.
She stuck her neck out. Why? She was in love with you, that's why. She must have thought she was covering for you. You had the house staked out. Somebody spotted her act, fished the gun out of the can. That was Benny.
No, it was this...
Correction. Spoiler. Who do I get for him, Reddick?
Actually, as I told you before, I know nothing about the spoiler's death. It's a blow to me, Dana. A very sad blow.
I don't think you realize how much of a blow. They let accessories smell the cyanide gas just as quick as killers.
I wasn't...
Before, during, and after the fact, Reddick.
No, I was...
Who do I get for the spoiler?
Dana, I will admit that, well, one of my employees may have lost his head.
Shut up, Reddick.
I wouldn't know, of course. True, Benny did happen to go out for a while. What time was the spoiler shot?
Roughly 1:40 a.m.
That, roughly, is when Benny went out.
Mr. Reddick, don't do that.
Well, Benny, I'm sorry. I'll get you the finest lawyer. You needn't worry about his fee. I'll take care of that. We must be sensible about this, Benny. I can help you.
I'm dying. Let's have your gun, Benny.
Why don't you come and get it, copper?
All right. I will.
You better stop right where you are, copper. Maybe it ain't supposed to be smart blasting a cop.
I want your gun, Benny.
All right, another step, just one step more. You get it. I don't mean the rod either. I mean bullets in your belly.
Your gun, Benny.
What's the matter? What's the matter? What's wrong with you? You think bullets won't hit you? You think you're different from other guys just because you're a cop? Will you stop moving in on me? What's wrong with you?
I'm Lou Dana, Benny.
All right. Take it.
No, Benny. Pick it up. Hand it to me.
Here.
Thank you, Benny. Reddick, you're coming with us.
All right, Lieutenant, I'll be glad to. Of course, it's only for a little while.
That'll be between you and the district attorney's office. Oh, one thing more.
Yeah?
The other gun, Reddick. The one that was used on Winthrop.
You're sure I've got it?
What kind of a question is that?
Yeah. All right, Dana. It's in the drawer here.
Bet it, I'll take it.
Be careful. Don't take the handkerchief off that gun.
Don't worry. I'll keep it warm. I took him down, and the desk sergeant made marks on his brand new blotter. Benny Carolla, alias Benjamin Carter, alias Benjamin Wilde, along with Vincent Reddick, was charged with murder. The murder of a man referred to as the spoiler. We left the other deaths off the blotter. A man can die only once. And then, I got my shoes shined.
Come in, Lieutenant Dana. You'll have to overlook my dressing gown. I was just about to go to bed.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Winthrop.
Lieutenant, what's your first name?
Lou, why?
I don't know. I just wanted... I don't know why.
That's not important.
Let's not discuss things being important. Or are you being unkind and trying to remind me that I thought Mozart's 39th was in D?
Mozart's dead.
Yes, and so is my husband. But won't you call me Kate anyway?
All right.
Never mind, I know. You're here on business. All right, Lieutenant. You found out that I inherit Harold's estate, haven't you?
Yes.
That's why you're here, isn't it?
I know that's for me. Yes, Pappy. Uh-huh. You're fine. All right, go back to sleep.
What was that, Lieutenant?
Further check to find out just what it was you inherited.
And you found out?
Harold Winthrop had nothing to his name but the silk socks he died in.
That's true.
He wasn't killed because of anything anybody would inherit from him.
Thank you. And now I suppose I don't interest you anymore. In the line of duty. So, you'll be going away.
I'd like to tell you something first.
All right.
When your husband got shot, a girl named Claire Thorpe gave the gun that did the killing to Reddick. She was in love with him. She thought that he'd killed her husband. I got that gun from Reddick. It was carefully wrapped in a handkerchief.
Does that mean something?
It means Reddick didn't shoot your husband. He would have been careful about preserving the prints on that gun if he had.
You've got more to tell me.
Yeah. The way it's set up, your husband and Claire Thorpe were keeping house on Terminal Street. Your husband was steering all his rich friends to the Avon Club for a split of the take.
I can't believe that of Harold. Oh, it's true, I suppose, but
It isn't true.
It isn't. But then...
Somebody was keeping house on Terminal Street, sure. But it wasn't Claire Thorpe because she had the whitest skin on a woman I've ever seen.
I'm not especially interested in Miss Thorpe's attractions.
On the vanity table in that house, there was a box of face powder. Rochelle. Blondes with very white skin don't use Rochelle. Brunettes do. A brunette was keeping house with someone on Terminal Street. You're a brunette, Mrs. Winthrop. You were keeping house on Terminal Street with Reddick.
No.
Your husband found you there, didn't he? And all he found was death.
I don't think I'm going to say anything.
Don't. Wouldn't do any good. We've got a date with the desk sergeant, Mrs. Winthrop.
All right. But, you wouldn't want to take a girl to headquarters in her night clothes, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Then you won't mind if I get dressed? In my bedroom?
No.
You shouldn't have ripped my dressing gown off.
I had to make sure you were wearing street clothes underneath. You are. Claire Thorpe was killed only a little while ago. That finishes it.
All right. But I wish you'd take your hat off indoors, Lieutenant Vena.
I'm sorry. Let's go. Kate. Catherine Winthrop was booked at the 14th Precinct for the murder of her husband, Harold Winthrop, and for the murder of Claire Thorpe. Her prints on the murder gun clinched it. We gave her a file card and a number and the eyes, the warm lips, the hair a man would give his soul to get his hands on. Didn't mean a thing. I don't like killers.
You have just heard The Man from Homicide, starring Charles McGraw. Mr. McGraw appears by arrangement with RKO Radio Pictures Incorporated and will soon be seen starring in The Target. The script was written by Louis Vittes and was produced and directed by Helen Mack. Music was composed and conducted by Robert Armbruster. In tonight's cast, Reddick was played by James Backus. Kate Winthrop,
Joan Banks.
Benny, Larry Dobkin. Claire Thorpe,
Maggie Morley.
Spoiler, Lamont Johnson. The Sergeant,
Tom Tully.
The Doorman,
Arthur Q. Bryan.
And Lieutenant Lou Dana,
Charles McGraw.
Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you On a Country Road, a suspense play starring Mr. Cary Grant.
Relax, David. There's no hurry to get home.
Oh, who can relax in this mess of traffic? There must be a wreck or something up ahead.
This keeps up, we'll get caught in the rain.
Yeah, it looks like a big storm building up, too. Hey, remember that shortcut?
Which one?
Well, the little tarred road that goes across through Center Marches and comes out on the other highway.
One we took last summer?
Yeah. I'll turn off there and duck this pile up. I'd like to get as far as possible before that storm hits. Oh, why don't you put out your hand?
David, don't get mad.
Well, he cut right in front of me trying to turn into that gas station.
Maybe he needed gas.
Oh. Turn on the radio, huh? Now, there.
Police this afternoon issued
Sounds like
warnings to all residents of Long Island to be on the
Turn it
lookout
up,
for
Dan.
Nellie Goller, a middle-aged woman described as dangerous and insane. She escaped this morning from Rescue Mental Hospital after fatally butchering a doctor, a nurse, and a ward attendant with a meat cleaver. This is the same Nellie Goller who a year ago murdered 3 persons on a Brooklyn street. This station
my
broadcasts a
mother-in-law.
full description of our regular newscast, which
At least we aren't the only crazy people on Long Island. Why did you change it?
I don't want to listen anymore. Let's get home quickly, David. I don't like being out here with that woman running loose.
Uh-oh. Here's the storm. Roll up the windows.
In just a moment, Mr. Cary Grant in the first act of On a Country Road.
Amazing, Wilcox, amazing.
What's so amazing, Senator?
Your victory in the election.
My candidate's victory, Senator, the famous Autolite Stay Full battery, the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Why, everybody voted for the Autolite Stay Full battery.
You had plenty in reserve, Wilcox.
Reserve? Why, the Autolite Stay Full battery has over 3 times the liquid reserve of batteries without Stay Full features.
Didn't you campaign with fiberglass retaining mats?
Sure did, Senator, because every positive plate of the Autolite Stay Full battery is protected with a fiberglass retaining mat to prevent shedding and flaking and keep the power-producing materials in place.
Why, your candidate is in for life, Wilcox.
Longer life, Senator, because the Autolite Stay Full battery gives 70% longer life as proved by tests conducted according to SAE minimum life cycle standards. So, friends, get acquainted with the Autolite Stay Full battery, the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. See your neighborhood Autolite battery dealer now. And remember, you're always right with Autolite. And now, with On a Country Road and the performance of Mr. Cary Grant, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
Why don't they put her to sleep instead of just locking her up where she can escape and kill more people?
Put who to sleep?
That woman they were talking about on the radio.
Oh, she can't help what she does. She's sick.
What good does that do the people who get chopped up with a meat cleaver?
I don't know. The laws were made before the doctors knew very much about the human mind.
I still don't know much.
Oh, I can see what it is. There's a roadblock up ahead.
What's happened?
I don't know. Cops all over the road.
David, I'll bet they're looking for that crazy woman.
Oh, I guess so.
Hold it a minute.
What's up, officer?
Just a checkup, folks. Anything in the back seat?
Only the blanket and the lunchbox.
We went on a picnic.
Yes, ma'am. Seen any hitchhikers?
No, just traffic.
Okay. Move right along, please.
Are you looking for the crazy woman?
Move it along. Let's go.
He didn't answer.
He's busy.
What are you doing?
Listen.
All residents and motorists on Long Island are warned to be on the alert for the escaped insane woman who is somewhere on the island. She is described as tall, broad-shouldered, gray-haired, and rather heavy. She may still be armed with the cleaver. 100 men are searching the area, and they're prepared to shoot on sight. Here's another bulletin on the case which just came in. Just a few minutes ago, the decapitated bodies of an elderly man and woman were found
here's
by
the
police
shortcut.
near Center
We haven't
Marches
found
on
her
Long Island.
yet.
This will get us out of that
I
traffic.
repeat that. The bodies of an elderly couple have just been found in their car near Center Marches on a lonely, tarred road. Police are certain they were killed by Nellie Goller, the insane woman now at large. Residents of the area are warned not to open their doors to strangers. Motorists are cautioned to stay off lonely roads and not to pick up any hitchhikers. All persons are asked to be on the lookout for this woman. Here is her description.
They haven't
again.
caught her yet.
Better turn that off, Dorothy.
I thought you wanted to hear it.
Oh, that's
She's
enough of
believed
it.
to be armed with the meat cleaver.
This shortcut will save us a lot of time.
You turned off the highway.
Sure, I told you when I did it. We've come over a mile already. Save us a lot of time.
But David, didn't you hear what the radio said about staying off lonely roads?
We only have to go across the other highway. It won't take long.
You sure?
Of course. We go past Center Marches, then take the left road and come out right by the highway bridge.
Center Marches is where she just killed those 2 people.
Oh, no. What can happen to us while we're driving? Besides, the whole island is full of men looking for this lunatic. They'll catch her.
Oh.
It's just a storm. Now, come on, quiet down. You're jumping.
I guess I'm silly. David.
What?
The gas gauge says empty.
There's still a couple of gallons left when it points to empty.
How long has it said empty?
Don't know. I'll get gas when we get across to the other highway.
David, I'm scared.
Relax, honey. Rain and wind always make you nervous as a cat.
I wish we'd stayed on the highway.
If I'd known you'd act like this, I would have.
Well, it's not my fault.
It's not mine either. I'm having trouble enough just trying to see through this storm.
David, let's not fight.
Driving through these burned-out woods in this kind of weather is enough to give anyone the willies.
Oh, goodness, it got dark so fast. I can hardly see ahead, even in the headlights.
There's something ahead.
Don't stop, David.
That's only a sign.
David, the crazy woman could be around here.
I'm not picking up anyone. I just want to know where I am.
Well, don't get out of the car.
I'm not. Calm down. Let's see. Center March is that way. Now, we'll take this road.
Center Marches. This must be the road where she killed those people.
Dorothy, please.
Sorry. So jumpy. Turn on the radio. Oh, this is a desolate place. We haven't even passed a house yet. Miles of woods on both sides of us.
It's so dark we couldn't have seen one if it were there. This rain seems to be getting worse.
David, I'm just sure this is the road where that woman killed those 2 people.
Oh, now, stop that, Dorothy.
That's why the police had a roadblock by this road. That crazy woman might be any place in these woods.
But not necessarily where we are. Oh.
David, what's the matter?
Oh, that's fine. What a place to run out of gas.
Oh, no! David, you mean we're stuck here?
I'm afraid so, for the time being anyway. I'm sorry, dear.
That crazy woman is in the woods. She'll kill us.
She's nowhere near us.
David, quick. Turn off your headlights.
Why? Did you hear something?
David, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm scared.
I guess I should have got gas.
Oh, turn off the headlights, please.
Why?
She'll see us if you don't.
We won't see her if I do.
Please, David, turn them off.
Oh, now listen, Dorothy. Don't let this silly thing get the better of you.
Oh, just look at the headlights. Poking into darkness of nothing but wet bushes and trees. Rain falling. Please, David.
Oh, all right. There, now they're off. You feel better sitting in the dark?
Only the thunder and lightning would stop. And this rain.
Look, Dorothy, there's no sense sitting here all night. It's only a few minutes past 10 o'clock. I'm going to walk up the road a bit. There might be a house or something
You're
there.
not going to leave me here. I won't let you go.
Dorothy, we can't sit here in the middle of nowhere for the rest of the night.
We're safer here than out there. David, she's probably hiding in the woods. She's just waiting for a chance to kill us.
Oh, come on, Dorothy. Why should she be right where we've run out of gas?
Why
now?
can't she be here? Please stay in the car.
All right.
Lock the doors from the inside.
Why? What is it?
Now she can't get in here.
She's nowhere near
Oh,
us.
don't be mad at me, David. I'm so scared.
Well, if she's out there, she can easily smash the windows.
Oh, don't scare me anymore. I know I'm acting silly. I can't help it.
Oh, no. Come, now just put my arm around you. There.
Oh, David.
Okay. Put your head on my shoulder.
Forgive me, David.
Well, go ahead and cry. Go on. It'll make you feel better.
Isn't there some popular music?
We're now in search for the escaped insane woman who has killed 5 persons since fleeing from a Long Island mental hospital. Rain and darkness are hampering the search. Over 100 police are combing the wooded area near Center Maurages. It was near there that an elderly couple were butchered on a lonely, tarred road. In making her escape this morning, the mad woman killed a doctor, nurse, and...
Let's leave it out for a while, huh?
So quiet and lonely here. Wish it were morning.
Look, Dorothy, I'll run up the road. There might be a
No,
house.
no, David, please. David, listen. Did you hear that?
What? I don't hear anything.
Listen. There it is.
No, I can't. It's a dog. A little dog barking.
Oh, David.
Well, I guess it's only a lost dog. Or maybe there's a house nearby.
Or the crazy woman. Oh, David! She's out there!
Something hit the back of the car.
It's her!
Is the door locked on your side?
Yes. Well, what if she breaks the windows? She's got a cleaver.
In that flash of lightning, I saw somebody.
Is it the crazy woman?
I can't tell. She's lying on the road.
Can you see her? Is she still there?
Too dark to see. Have to wait for the lightning. I saw her. She's getting up now.
She'll kill us. She'll kill us.
Calm down. Please.
What is she doing?
I don't know. She must have been running. She didn't see the car and ran right into it.
She's at the window, right next to you.
Oh, my Lord! Look at her. Get away from that window.
David, she's trying to get in the car.
Look at that face. And her hair. Go away!
Let me in! I'm not crazy! The crazy woman is after me!
David, don't let her in.
Let me in!
Never going to scare her. Go away! Go away! We've got a gun. We'll shoot.
It worked. She's staring at us.
I'm warning you. I'll shoot.
David, she's coming back.
Please don't leave me out here! Please! That woman will kill me! Please!
David, take your pipe. Hold it like a gun. It'll look like a gun.
Where is it? Where's it? In the glove compartment.
Here it is. Here.
Look! I've got a gun. I'm going to shoot.
She's backing away.
Keep going before I start shooting.
David. She's gone. She disappeared.
We can't get out now. All we can do is sit here all night and wait for help.
Can you see her? Where'd she go?
I don't know. She's out there, though. Probably planning on how to get in this car.
David, what are we going to do? She's the one I know.
She didn't have a cleaver?
She must have dropped it when she ran into the car. Her face is all twisted, her hair hanging down.
And she's back there looking for the cleaver now.
She'll kill us. She'll kill us.
Dorothy, stop it.
She'll kill us. David! David!
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Cary Grant with Kathy Lewis and Jeanette Nolan in On a Country Road. Tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Wilcox, what was your platform?
Why, the Autolite Stay Full battery. The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
Go on, Wilcox.
Well, we pointed out that the Autolite Stay Full has over 3 times the liquid reserve of batteries without Stay Full features.
Amazing.
But that's not all, Senator, because we pointed out, too, that the Autolite Stay Full gives longer life. 70% longer life, in fact, as proved by tests conducted according to SAE minimum life cycle standards. Then there's fiberglass retaining mats protecting every positive plate to prevent shedding and flaking and to give the Autolite Stay Full scintillating superiority.
How is your plurality, Wilcox?
Sensational, Senator. We got all but 1 vote.
Why, that's positively preposterous.
Sure is, Senator, because everybody's heard of the Autolite Stay Full battery, the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. So see your neighborhood Autolite battery dealer. And remember, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Cary Grant in Elliott Lewis's production of On a Country Road, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The window. David, she broke the window.
Get away from there. Stay out of the car.
I'm coming in. I can't
Now
stand it.
stay out of the
here.
car. I warn you. I've got a gun.
You wouldn't shoot me.
Go away. You're crazy. We know all about you.
I'm not the crazy woman. Believe me. Let me in.
Don't do it, David. She's trying to trick us.
Listen to me, please. I've been running in this awful storm. My car is stuck in the ditch back there.
How far back?
I don't know. It seems like miles. I heard about the crazy woman on the radio. I was afraid to stay in the car alone. Let me in.
No, David.
Go back to your own car.
No. It's so dark and so lonely in this storm. I locked the doors, but I was afraid I could see things and hear things in the darkness. I couldn't stand it anymore. I got out and I ran. It's the rain. That's why I look like this. I'm not the crazy woman.
Dorothy, maybe she isn't a crazy woman. Maybe she's just scared and exhausted.
Let me in, please. Let me in.
No, David, no. She's the one. I know.
This crazy woman had a cleaver. I'm not armed. The 3 of us will be safer together.
No, she makes sense to me, Dorothy. We would be safer with one more person.
Oh, David, I don't know.
Let me in, please. I'm wet to the skin.
I'm going to unlock the door, Dorothy.
David?
Oh,
All right. Now, get in. Make one move and I'll shoot you.
it's good to sit down.
All right. Now, there's a blanket on the floor back there. Try and dry yourself off with it.
Oh, the darkness and the rain. It was enough to drive me out of my mind.
Just take it easy, lady.
I ran and ran. All I could hear was feet chasing after me, hunting me.
Do you live near here?
Farther out, near Restview. I used to live in Brooklyn.
Restview is the mental hospital.
I know. I'm used to the crazy people, but not a night in a lonely place like this. Not the kind who kill people.
You live at Restview?
No, just near there.
David, we can't sit here not knowing. If we could get to a phone.
A phone? Why?
To call the police. Get some help.
No! Don't do that.
Why not? Why don't you want the police?
Oh, I do. But you'll be killed.
What do you mean?
The woman. She'll kill him if he goes away from this car. Oh, there's that dog. You hear it? Somebody's out there.
Well, there must be a house up ahead. Maybe it's barking to be let in.
No. It senses somebody. There's somebody out there. The crazy woman's creeping around out there. Quick! Let's get away. Look out, David.
Let go of me. What are you trying to do?
Start the car, quick. We'll get away.
We're out of gas.
Out of gas.
I don't think we parked here for the fun of it, do you?
Oh, such a desolate place to run out of gas. Stop barking. What does it mean? You can't just sit here. We gotta get away.
Oh, I'm not a magician, lady. I can't make gasoline out of rain.
Oh, you can't stay here the whole night. You hear me?
Let go of me. There's nothing I can do.
Try something, anything. Don't just sit there.
She's scaring me. David, stop her.
Cut it out. Cut it out. You'll have us all in hysterics.
All right. All right, I'm sorry. Look, I got an idea. Give me your gun.
What for?
What for? I'll tell you. I want it. Give it to me. David, listen to me. I'm all right, but I can't sit here all night. I'd go crazy. Give me the gun. I'll go. I won't be afraid of the dark, the noises, the feet following me. I'll go. I promise you. But give me the gun.
No, now, sit down.
Please. I'll go. I promise. I can't stand sitting in the dark like this.
Can't you stop her, David?
I told you to shut up. If you don't, you'll have to get out of the car.
Not into the woods again. Oh, you're nice people, aren't you? Or do you want me to leave so you can shoot me? Is that it?
We're not going to shoot you. We don't have a gun. It's only a pipe.
Dorothy.
A pipe? A smoking pipe? David, I'm sorry. Then you're unarmed. I'm sorry,
Yes,
David.
that's all right.
Why did you tell me you had a gun?
What difference would it make to you whether I'm armed or not?
I don't know you. Maybe you two are more dangerous than the crazy woman.
I'll tell you what I think. I think you're the crazy woman. The way you grabbed David when you wanted him to start the car.
Dorothy, stop it. Don't excite her.
Don't excite me. Why? Do you think I'm dangerous? An old woman you took into your car, two of you, and you're afraid of me?
I'm not afraid of you. Now, sit back in the seat and don't try anything.
David, the storm is stopping. Maybe now is the time.
The time for what? What are you going to do? You two are up to something.
Oh, shut up! My wife meant now is the time to go for help.
I did not. I meant now is the time for us to escape. David, can't you see it? She's the one. She'll kill us.
You little...
Oh, stop it. Sit back in that seat.
You haven't got a gun.
No, but I've got a knife.
David!
It's my jackknife, but it's sharp and strong, so don't try any tricks.
All right. Threaten me. Watch me while that woman is out there. All you can do is sit and wait for her to make the next move.
David, she can kill us like that old man and woman. They must have been on this same road. They were in their car, too. They must have let her in.
We'll leave, then. The three of us will walk. We'll stay close together. We'll be quiet. Anyone hiding in the woods won't hear us.
Don't get out of the car, David.
Oh, how will we find our way? It's too dark.
We'll find our way.
Look out there. The road's full of shadows.
Get her out of the car, David. She wants to kill us.
Kill you?
Now, look, if you want to go, why don't you leave? We're going to stay here until some help comes.
Oh, I'd be helpless, alone, if I had a gun or something. Your knife.
Oh, why doesn't somebody come? Where are the police? I can't stand this.
Nobody'll come. There's no one in these woods. They're burned out and deserted.
Dorothy, come on, please.
It was your idea to use this road. You wouldn't listen to me and stop for gas.
I couldn't help it. I got lost.
Oh, why don't you do something? Not just sit here waiting. Do something before we're murdered. Are you so helpless?
All right. I am going to do something. I'll go for help.
That's it. Get help.
David, in her hand. I saw it in the moonlight. It glittered.
What is it?
Your wife is hysterical.
She was holding it. A long piece of broken glass, long and pointed. See? She doesn't answer. She's just watching us. What is she waiting for?
It's from the broken window. That's where she got it.
So what if I have it? I'm not going to sit here defenseless.
She's going to attack us.
Don't be silly. It was all right for you to have a knife. Why can't I be armed for whatever may come?
Give me that broken glass.
Give it to you. You think I'm crazy? You couldn't protect us from anything.
Oh.
David, what are you doing?
Why are you climbing over the seat?
I warn you. I'm through letting my wife be terrified. Give me that glass.
Stay away from me!
What's
Right after the car, you were going to butcher my wife with that broken glass.
No! No! David! David!
Give me that glass.
You're crazy! Let me alone!
Hold her, David. Hold her. Don't let her free.
Wrong. Got my arm.
You'll kill me!
Drop that glass.
You both gone crazy? Trying to kill me?
Like you were going to murder us.
No, I wasn't.
Don't let her get free.
Can't hold her. She's strong.
If you have a knife, then I'll have glass.
David, hold her.
Much longer.
I'm not crazy. Please believe me.
She's got my throat. Choking me.
Your knife. David, your knife. David. David, you killed her. David, you killed her.
I couldn't help it. I didn't mean it.
Oh, you're covered with blood.
She was going to kill us. There's some lights. A car is coming. Help's coming.
Hey there, you in the car. Why are you parked here?
It's the police. At last.
We ran out of gas. The crazy one.
What a night to run out of gas. You couldn't have picked a better spot. What with that woman running around loose?
Officer, we want to tell you.
A farmer up the road called us, said his dog's been barking at something.
We caught her.
Who'd you catch?
The crazy woman. She's in the back seat, dead.
What? No, she's alive. Hurt bad, though.
She was trying to kill us.
Well, we'll get her to a hospital. You two had better come with me. We captured that crazy woman a half hour ago. I don't know who this lady is. Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Cary Grant.
Wilcott, did your candidate's entire ticket get into office?
Yes, sir, Senator. Along with the Autolite Stay Full battery, the voters elected all of the 400 products made by Autolite for cars, trucks, planes, and boats in 28 plants coast to coast. These include complete electrical systems used as original factory equipment on many leading makes of America's finest cars. Generators, coils, distributors, voltage regulators, electric windshield wipers, wire and cable, starting motors, all engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team. So, friends, don't accept electrical parts supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on Autolite original factory parts at your neighborhood service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. Remember, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week on Suspense for your Thanksgiving holiday listening, Mr. Ozzie Nelson and Miss Harriet Hilliard as stars of Going, Going, Gone. And in the weeks to come, you will hear such famous stars as Van Heflin, Alan Ladd, and Cornell Wilde, all appearing in tales well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin. On a Country Road was written for Suspense by Walter Bazar.
And remember, next week on Suspense, Ozzie Nelson and Harriet Hilliard in Going, Going, Gone.
You can buy Autolite Stay Full batteries, Autolite Standard Type or Resistor Type spark plugs, Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Well, I guess that brings a whole new meaning to On a Country Road. Now, I'm able to get all of these very clear recordings thanks to meradio.com, where you can listen to more amazing radio shows that your grandparents and parents used to listen to when they were growing up, before TV ever happened. Now, in this episode's bio, you'll be able to find all of those nifty links to get you set up with all of those stories. And if you'd like to contact your very own Shanice from Creepaholics, in the bio will be my email, Patreon, Facebook page, and how you can subscribe to more of my content. Also, check out the merchandise I have on my Patreon page, as Creepaholics has just set out a brand new line. So, also, too, don't forget to tell your friends or family member. The more people we tell, the more we can get this show going. Your help helps me make future episodes worthy for you to listen to. Thank you so much for your time, and until next time, keep creeping it real, creeps. Love ya. Bye.
Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.